We've got an entry list for the Cars Tour late model stock race at Southern National Motorsports Park this upcoming Saturday, and there are over 30 cars on the entry list. Before we get into this, I'd like to ask you, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at John Trent Racing. We are over at the Cars Tour official website for their official ZMAX Cars Tour event preview for the KevinSaysYes.com 125 at Southern National Motorsports Park. Let's just scroll down here to the entry list and let's read it out. There are 32 late model stock entries for the ZMAX Cars Tour late model stock division. Here they are: Chase Burrow, Brendan Queen, Ronnie Bassett Jr., Deke McCaskill, Andrew Grady, Clay Jones, Brandon Pierce, Bobby McCarty, Carson Quaffle, Buddy Isles Jr., Mason Diaz, Ryan Millington, Logan Clark, Chad McCumbee, Caden Honeycutt, Connor Hall, Cade Brown, Cody Dempster, Jonathan Finley, Brent Cruz, Landon Huffman, Bryce Applegate, Jamie Caudill, Stephen Nasse, Gavin Bichelle, Lane Riggs, Cameron Boland, Katie Hettinger, Trevor Ward, Minnie Tyrell, John Goyne, and Jacob Hefner. So that is a stacked field of late model stock car competitors. I think there's probably 10, 15, maybe even more that can win this race. I mean, I think Brendan Queen has a chance. Deke McCaskill, I think he won there. I think he won last year. Or maybe it was 2 years ago. I think he won at South Boston last year. I know that for sure. I definitely think he has a chance. Bobby McCarty, always a threat. Carson Quaffle, two-time Cars Tour champion, always a threat to win. Mason Diaz, if they really get cooking, I think he could be a threat. Ryan Millington is always up there, running in the top 5, top 10. If he really gets connected, I think he'll be a threat to him. Caden Honeycutt, I think, is one of the best young drivers out there. He's racing in everything. He's racing in dirt late models. He's racing in trucks. He pretty much does it all. He's obviously running in the Pro Late Model Series as well, so definitely think he will be a threat. And he was one of the top cars for the Thanksgiving Classic at Southern National, where he, Brendan Queen, and Josh Berry put on an absolute show. So he's definitely one of those top competitors out there. I think Connor Hall will be a top competitor as well. He's already got a win under his belt, winning the first of the first opening race at Hickory Motor Speedway this year, and then got beat out by Landon S. Huffman in a fantastic second twin race. That was absolutely fantastic. If you have a Flow Racing subscription and you haven't seen that race yet, I highly recommend watching that second twin race, watching that kind of slugfest between Connor Hall and Landon S. Huffman. Fantastic racing. Cade Brown, definitely a huge threat. Hickory track champion last year. He's going to be a threat. He was a threat in the Cars Tour last year, I think, when they went to Florence at the end of the season. So expect him to be a threat here as well. Brent Cruz potentially could be a big threat as well. He had some success down at the World Series of Asphalt in New Smyrna earlier this year. So expect him to do well. Obviously, one of the top prospects as well. Landon Huffman, I think Huffman can definitely be a threat. We saw him really come on strong at the end of last year once he and his team really started meshing together. Obviously, he's with a new team this year, but it's a team that has won multiple Cars Tour championships, so I definitely think they should be a threat coming out of the gate. And then Bryce Applegate, Jamie Caudill. I think Stephen Nasse can be a threat too. We saw him run a couple races last year, at the end of last year. I think if they really start to get to work on that car and really put all their efforts into it, I think he's going to be a threat. Nasse, obviously one of the best super late model drivers on the circuit, and he's obviously going to be a threat in this late model stock division. And then Gavin Bichelle, he's moving up from the pro late models to the late model stock division. We'll see what he can do. Lane Riggs, obviously running that Kevin Harvick car. We know he can win. He won last year. I think they took it away from him though, because there was some kind of he had some illegal part or something like that. I think just honest mistake, but I definitely think he can win. We've seen him win national championship. He's had a rough start this year in the truck series, so maybe coming back to the Cars Tour is where he can really get cooking. And then Trevor Ward, I think he might be a dark horse to win. We did see him win at Martinsville last year, so expect him to put a good piece together and be out there challenging. And then I think Jacob Hefner. I always feel like Jacob Hefner is also a dark horse too. And I thought he put together some really good runs last year, competing in the top five. He really does, I feel like, excels well with tire management and some of the rougher tracks like Hickory, like Florence. But he might be able to steal the show down there at Southern National. And I think a lot of those guys do have a chance at winning. I mean, all of those guys I just mentioned there. Some of these drivers I'm not super familiar with, like Buddy Alves Jr. I'm not familiar with him. I'm not really super familiar with Bryce Applegate. The name sounds familiar, but I don't think I've actually seen him race all that much. Jamie Caudill as well, and then who else is on here? Clay Jones. That's a name that I'm not super familiar with. So those are guys that I'm just not sure. I do think Chase Burrow might be a dark horse as well. We'll see. I feel like Chase is like hit or miss. I've seen him come up and race at Dominion a couple times, and he just absolutely dominates and has a really good piece. And then sometimes you see him in the car store, and he's kind of running maybe like 15th or back. So we'll see. Logan Clark, I think, still has a lot of room to improve. I've seen him race a ton at Dominion. Saw him racing in their Virginia Racer, which is basically their limited late model. So we'll see how he does. He's usually running around that 15th position as well, kind of mid-pack. So we'll see what he can do as well. Katie Hettinger might be a dark horse as well. Obviously, she's had great success in the pro late model division. She won a bunch of races last year at New Smyrna during the World Series of Asphalt. And she obviously was runner-up in the pro late model division of the Cars Tour last year. So we'll see how she does in the late model stock. From what I've seen in the late model stock, though, the competition is obviously a lot tougher, I think, than in the pro late models. And she kind of is maybe in the middle of the pack rather than one of the top 5, top 10 out there. So obviously she's still a young driver and can improve greatly. Cameron Bolin is kind of the same. I think he ran Cars Tour last year and moved up from, I think he just went kind of straight from Legends to late model stock in the Cars Tour. So, and he kind of had a rough season last year. So he's got a lot to prove as well. And then John Goyne, Mini Tyrell, kind of locals at Dominion, or at least they were a couple years ago. Mini Tyrell's been racing with the Cars Tour quite a bit. I always feel like he has really good speed and can compete. And sometimes it kind of falls off. I don't know if he uses his stuff up or the car just kind of falls off. But I think he needs to be a little bit more aggressive. And I did see some improvement from him on that last year where he was actually not afraid to kind of use those bumpers that he has to move people out of the way. So hopefully he can continue to do that. But if he doesn't get as aggressive as what I think he needs to be, then I don't really see him as a threat. But he always usually brings good speed, and I like Mini. I think Mini is I love seeing Mini on the tour, and I actually hope he does succeed well. And then John Goyne, I don't know what's going on with John Goyne because I feel like he was a threat a couple years ago at Dominion, racing for the track championship, and then I don't know if he had a new car and he had new car blues last year or what, but he just didn't seem competitive really at all for the most part. So I don't know if he's got a new car or not going on into this year, but he could be a threat. But if it's still the same car as last year and they haven't really improved it or anything like that, I just don't see him being all that competitive. But this is your list of 32 cars. Let me know who you guys are going to be rooting for. Who do you think is the favorite going in? Who do you think are the dark horses? Let me know in the comments below. Do you think I'm completely off on who I think could win? Who I think might not be a challenge? Let me know in the comments below.